still in World War One, Dalston. 1917. In March 1917, mumps affected the school in a large way. 35 boys caught the disease. We're inoculated from this disease these days and don't often hear anybody of getting it, but it's basically a swelling in your neck, in your glands. Atkinson thought the school motto should reflect this circumstance, erectus a alatus, a case of swollen heads. So rather than erectus non alatus, which means no big heads, not being big-headed, he said, and big-headed. So quite funny. The scout troop cut down a tree overhanging the junior house garden. The school increased its ground by an orchard and a garden. There were about 100 apple and pear trees in the orchard. By 1917, 9 old boys had been awarded the Military Cross for bravery. The printing costs of the Dalstonian, the newsletter, the yearly magazine, had doubled due to the war. Subscriptions were raised to 1 shilling. In the summer of 1917, the boys were allowed to cook in camps. Camps, we have camps at school. The huts were lighted by homemade electricity and were made quite comfortable. A pistol found on Swanage Beach was added to the school museum. Miss Naish, head matron, retired in June 1917. Mr. Link became the first King Scout in the history of Dalston Court. 1918. In the spring of 1918, Molly Atkinson passed her second VAD exam and was working in the Cluny Hospital. May 1918 saw 60 boys on the school roll. This had risen by 3 in September. One of the early Swanage customs was to inscribe the dining hall walls with the boys' names. There were 214 in all, and we still have those names in our dining hall. Actually, it's children who gain scholarships to their next school. An interesting item hanging over one of the dining hall doors was a propeller from Leoline Jenkins' aeroplane. We're going to talk about Leoline in just the next slide. He did unfortunately die in November 1918, just before the armistice was signed on 11th November. Also in November, 30 boys succumbed to flu. The cost. 20 old Dalstonians lost their lives during this Great War. So that plaque that I showed you in the first video. The names of the Dalstonians who died is displayed in our chapel, and we do quite often talk about each of them and their lives that they had. Armistice Day on the 11th of November 1918 was celebrated in a noisy manner, with the school Union Jack flag carried in procession. All musical instruments were being played and a big celebration. In the spring term in 1919, witnessed a terrible outbreak of influenza. It was a national epidemic. Nearly 50 boarders, so 50 of the boys, fell ill with this flu. I thought that was quite interesting, given the given time that we have.